Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today will be a flashback as we travel back in the time machine, maybe about 10 or 11 years, give or take a year, as we look at this from DC Collectibles. We are featuring Arkham Origins Bane, Series 1. Okay, so I purchased this figure used at a local collectible toy store, and just to warn you in advance, this might be hard to stomach. Use this as a cautionary tale because when we take a look at this figure, you'll see why. Alright, so this is a figure that's been on my radar for a very long time. It commands a very high price on the secondary market. It's the version of Bane from the video game Arkham Origins. If you've played the Arkham line of video games, many of you might remember Origins. It was kind of like, it wasn't developed by Rocksteady Studios, I believe, and I think it was sandwiched somewhere between Arkham City and Arkham Knight. As you can see here, this portrays Bane much differently than he first appeared in Arkham Asylum. He's not as swolled up. He kind of has a much more like guerrilla tactical, terrorist kind of look, which seems, slightly inspired by the Christopher Nolan movie. He still has the Venom tubing presence, that kind of injects him with his drug. And he kind of retains the luchador-esque mask. And then here we have the Batman Origins logo. Nice portrait of Batman. And then other figures from Series 1 include Origins Batman, Arkham Origins Joker, Black Mask, and Bane. And this was sculpted by Gentle Giant Studios. So in terms of the sculpting, anything done by Gentle Giant's going to be top notch. They're really on top of their game. So let's take a look at this action figure. And like I warned you in advance, this might be hard to stomach. So keep in mind, I bought this figure used. And, I'll admit it might be partially my fault. I didn't examine this as closely as I should have when I bought it. It wasn't until I got home that I realized that the seal was broken. Let's take this out. Beautiful looking figure, as you can see right here. Excuse me. Nice cardboard insert. We have Gotham, during the winter, which is really picturesque. And then you have Wayne Tower in the background. So keep in mind, I did open this up previously. As soon as I got home, I had this nagging feeling that I should examine this figure. And I didn't even get inside the house yet. I just got out of my car and I was in the garage. And I'm like, I need to take a look at this. Something doesn't feel right. And then when I was handling the figure, I'm like, something's off. And let me get this guy out. So one of his legs was like completely stuck. It wouldn't move. And then, so his leg was stuck. It wasn't moving. And I was like, okay, I've fixed, stuck joints before. And, I kind of know how to remedy it. Because the right leg was like this stuck. It was like just like frozen. It wouldn't budge or move at all. It didn't have any give. So then I'm like, okay, I know what to do. And then I kind of put it through its paces like what I normally do to like freeze a joint. And I happened to get it loose. And I'm like, oh, wow, I kind of got it loose. And then when I tried to move it upwards, I'm not sure if I used too much force, which is possible. Or it's also possible that this figure might have been broken and the store bought and resold it without knowing it. But as soon as I moved the leg up at a 90-degree angle, this happened. The figure snapped cleanly in half. It blew my mind. I was like freaking out because I spent so much money on this. And I'm like, what the F just happened? And it was a clean break. And it's not like I felt it, I can't explain it. It just kind of just like snapped. Now, partially, I think, is because of the quality of the plastic. This is kind of much in line with the older McFarlane figures of the late 90s, early 2000s, and some of the NECA action figures that are prone to breakage. This type of plastic, it's a little bit more brittle. The harder and more brittle the plastic, you could get such finer sculpting and cleaner cuts, but at the cost of, the durability of it. So it's possible that I bought a broken toy and not know it, and it's also possible that I don't know my own strength and I just happen to use too much force and snap the figure in half, which was very painful. Painful in the heart, broke my heart when I broke. But at the same time, I think there's a flaw in the design, because if you look here, there's a little canister on his upper thigh, and then when you move his leg, it's going to collide with his belt. So even though the figure does have articulation, due to the nature of the design, it's not going to provide any range of motion. And I didn't know that. I just kind of forced the hell out of it, and then all of a sudden this just snaps in half. So that's pretty much that. It broke, and I didn't glue it yet to rebond it permanently. So what I did to kind of fix it is I drilled out a hole here, a hole here, a hole here, and a hole here, and then I decided to pin it because super glue alone is not going to hold this in place. So I took a paper clip and made 2 posts, and this thing's going to be pinned together for now, and eventually I will, once I find a permanent solution, I probably will just super glue it, if I can find the right kind of glue. But yeah, this sucked. So looking beyond that, let's take a look at the figure. And if this was mint and pristine, this would be perfect. But it's broken. But nonetheless, it's still display worthy. From a distance, you wouldn't know any better. So, and it does pain me to see that crack in the back. So, all right. So in terms of the sculpting, it's a superb figure, really well sculpted. The head moves. He has that luchador-esque mask. In some ways, also kind of resembles the Spawn design. He has the Venom tubing, like I pointed out. There's a gauge here. It has safe, and then hazard, and then critical with the red. Tactical harnesses and belts. It's really well done. It looks like he has some sort of grenades, and like I pointed out, that canister, some pouches. Beautiful shade work here as well. It's a nice greenish brown with a wash applied to really bring out the details. So the paint job and the sculpting, top notch. This really falls in line with some of the DC Direct, DC collectible action figures we got around this time period. I'm one of those collectors that I'll take a really well painted, well sculpted figure over articulation. For me, even though it's cool to get a action figure that might have 22 to 30 points of articulation, I'd rather have a figure that has limited articulation and just be a really beautiful display piece. So, but that's just, my own opinion. So in terms of the sculpting and the painting, it's a beautiful figure. Just look at that. But the articulation is very limited. There's not a whole lot it could do. Even though it does have, articulation, the range of motion, it's very limited because, due to the nature of the sculpting, the design, pieces kind of collide together. Once you reach a certain point, if the joint may get stuck or harder to move. But in terms of this looking like a quality display piece, I don't think anything's going to beat this. It looks fantastic. And it's just unfortunate that it broke, There is no waist swivel. There's part of me that thinking that it broke so clean, I'm considering possibly shaving this broken part off and maybe finding a new bottom half from a different action figure, maybe a Marvel Legends that might be within the same scale, and reattaching it to that. But yeah, this sucks. The figure is pretty sizable also. You're looking at something that stands in at almost 8.5 inches. For a size comparison, here he is next to a Marvel Legends. We have Vulcan. Here's some Mattel Batman figures. This is Movie Masters Christian Bale Batman. Here's the budget Mattel Ben Affleck Justice League Tactical Suit Batman. Here's a Diamond Select Alfred. This gives you an idea of the height. So it's a nice sized Bane. It's great. And then here's a larger McFarlane designed Batman. And, it's a nice scale. It works well across different lines. Bane's a much larger villain and character in the DC universe. Yeah, so overall, despite the fact that it broke, it's a great figure. But like I said, use this as a cautionary tale. Don't be too enthusiastic and excited like me and buy something, especially if it's secondhand, without knowing, the condition of it. This isn't the first time I got burned also. In the past, I'd buy something used without really realizing that it was broken. Sometimes it might be still in the package, but the seal might be broken, and I'm like, it looks fine. Then when I get home, maybe a joint's broken or something was glued in place. There is a possibility that this was broken and sold to the store, and they resold it without knowing, the condition of it. There's a hint of super glue here, and which might explain why this leg wasn't moving to begin with. It's possible that it kind of got glue stuck in the joint, and I don't know. It's a beautiful figure. It breaks my heart that it's broken. I don't know. I have some trust issues now with the store I bought this from, but it's a nice figure and it's beautiful. Even though I paid a lot for it, it still looks great. I can't, if I had to hunt this down in the secondary market again, I'd probably pay a lot more for it. But it's a nice figure. I'm a big fan of Bane. Bane's an awesome character. He's one of my favorite Batman villains, especially the way he's been portrayed over the last 10 years. He's much more cerebral than just being muscle. Alright, so this video is dragging on. Let's end this here. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. Alright, later.